How about a Coppola Quick Facts?
Over to Coppola Quick Facts. There are a ton of quick facts for this thing. So we'll go through them pretty quickly. First off, I wanted to give a quick shout out. My face-off mug that I've been drinking out of this season. This was drawn by Brian Draws Movies, which you can find him on briandrawsmovies.com. And he has like an Etsy store and an Instagram. We're not affiliated with him or anything. It's a cool cup.
Yeah.
And he draws like really...
Toss him some business. That's nice.
Really interesting stuff. So some other cups that I'd love to pick up at some point. So yeah, if you're in the market for a sweet-ass cup, head over to Brian Draws Movies. First up, co-writer Mike Werb got the idea for the face surgery from a friend who had a hang gliding accident. They had to remove most of the skin from his face, reconstruct the bone matter, and put his face back on. I'm guessing there were a few scars, though. It wasn't just perfect. The script as presented to director John Woo was set in the future, which makes sense. Like 100 years in the future at least, I think. Not 1997. But Woo suggested changing the setting to the present to focus on the more dramatic and psychological elements of the storyline. And probably to save some money since they didn't have to do it in the future. Fun fact, just FYI, the first real-life face transplant was accomplished in 2012. So that's 15 years after this movie came out, on Richard Norris, who'd accidentally shot himself in the face with a shotgun the same year the movie came out. I mean, The first time I watched it, I thought about putting a shotgun in my face, too.
Oh, my gosh.
So I'm not saying that there's a correlation, but, you know.
So the guy had his face shot off and then had to wait 15 years to get a transplant?
Yep. Yeah, so he just had, you know, you can guess what was there before.
You ever play The Last of Us?
Got a full face reconstruction, or a face transplant, so it was taken off of a cadaver and put onto his face. Pretty crazy. Originally, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone were
I read that too.
in talks to play the lead roles.
Yeah,
I guess it makes sense, but
it makes sense from a stupid action movie standpoint, but I don't think they could pretend to be each other very convincingly in this movie. Like Schwarzenegger trying to sound like Stallone with an accent.
I could eat a peach. All right.
So
I think I got it. When John Woo was brought in to direct, he decided that John Travolta and Nicolas Cage would be more suited for the roles. Other pairs of actors that were considered, though, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Harrison Ford, and Michael Douglas. I guess I could see that.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis and Alec Baldwin. That would have been a good one. I think that would have been interesting. Mm-hmm. Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. We're talking 90s Al Pacino, 90s Robert De Niro. I still don't see it. They were doing such like serious work at that point. I mean, not like super serious, but like, you know, Al Pacino had been in that stupid Dick Tracy movie and stuff. But I just don't feel like their careers had tanked enough to do Face Off.
Oh, God. It would have been so good though to see Al Pacino grabbing that choir girl's ass and be like, "You have a great ass."
It actually would have worked. I think it would have been good. Seeing him do the headbang on the Hallelujah. Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steven Seagal.
The movie we all need.
Oh my God.
It would have been amazing. And then this one I think could have been cool. Denzel Washington and Wesley Snipes. It would have been cool, I think.
Should do Denzel Washington and Sylvester Stallone. That would have been cool.
Sylvester Stallone.
We can just spray paint you.
Oh my
All right.
God. I'm just gonna play it like I'm Apollo, okay?
You know, I was in glory. Chow Yun-fat was actually rumored to be in the movie during the early stages of filming, but because of contractual obligations, he had to leave and was replaced by Margaret Cho.
Oh, weird.
Chow Yun-fat is a superstar in China, and I'm guessing that role was much bigger before Margaret Cho took over. Because putting Chow Yun-fat in this movie and not just having him have 4 interactions with John Travolta is just kind of stupid. The studio, we're not even close to done with these. The studio wanted John Woo to take the slash out of the title, but he kept it in because he was afraid people would think it was a hockey movie without the slash. I feel like the slash makes it feel even more like a hockey movie.
Yeah.
The main character's name is Sean Archer. Sagittarius, the Archer, one of the constellations of the Zodiac, is diametrically opposed halfway around the year from the constellation Gemini, where Castor and Pollux are the 2 major stars. I would have never guessed that there was that much thought put into these stupid names.
Once I saw that they were named Castor and Pollux, I was
Castor
like,
and Pollux, yeah.
Now I got why he's called Archer, and then had to, I went
You've
down that same route.
You figured it was actually something thought through with
Because it's such a random thing to name your 2 antagonists,
Castor and Pollux, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not random if you know mythology, but yeah, it's or astrology, I guess.
Mm-hmm. In the original script, John Woo intended the Castor Troy and Sean Archer characters to be romantically involved, with Sean's unwillingness to let their love be known acting as a catalyst for Castor's betrayal and subsequent murder of Sean's son.
Damn.
Whoa, that would have been fucked up, man.
Yeah, it would.
That would have been awesome.
But the producers were worried that American audience would be confused by that. You think? And find the characters less sympathetic. Have you been around America recently?
Two men can't love each other.
2 men. This fucking country's going to hell. America 2022. In early drafts of the script, Archer went to Castor's mother's place to hide out. This is such a fucking crazy one. The writers wanted the mother to be played by either Elizabeth Taylor, okay, or Jack Nicholson in drag.
Oh my gosh.
What? Oh, we were robbed.
I'm just gonna say this again. In early drafts of the script, Archer went to Castor's mother's place to hide out, and the writers wanted the mother to be played by Elizabeth Taylor or Jack Nicholson in drag.
I don't know which one I would have preferred because they're both incredible.
I would have preferred Jack Nicholson in drag.
Yeah, that would have been amazing to
Both
see.
would have been incredible.
Can you imagine Jack Nicholson in drag trying to pretend to be Nicolas Cage's mother, like a character that would believably be the mother of Castor?
Good to
He would
have
just
you
be
home,
Jack Nicholson.
Castor. What the fuck, dude? Seriously.
I love that the writers wanted to make that call.
The writers wanted that,
The writers normally get to pull who's getting
No. But I guess they wrote it with Jack Nicholson and drag in mind.
or Elizabeth Taylor. Those 2 aren't even similar either.
Yeah. Well, they could be the same person. I've never seen them in the same room together. But a lot of times, they'll write with the actor in mind. They'll write for the actor, and then they'll pitch it to the studio, and the studio will either be like, yeah, that's a great idea, or no, that's not even making it into the film.
Jack Nicholson, okay.
Okay. in
Interesting.
drag.
All right.
Well, he'll never go for that.
Can we make him his father instead? No.
No,
gotta be
it
the
has to
mom.
be a woman. Originally, Nicolas Cage turned down the role of Castor Troy, citing a lack of interest in playing a villain, which we've kind of noticed this early on in his career. He didn't play a villain all that often.
Yeah. He may
that
not
has
want to
since
be
changed.
typecasted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, once he was told that he would actually be playing the hero for the majority of the film, he quickly signed on. Which is kind of this is an interesting role for him because he really does have to play both sides, literally. But at the same time, and we'll get to it. Nicolas Cage and John Travolta spent 2 weeks together before filming to learn how each other's moved and their, habits and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I don't know really comes across in the film, honestly.
It does
I
for
think
John
it
Travolta.
does for Travolta. Yeah.
Nicolas Cage,
I
not so
really do.
much.
After having watched
Yeah.
so many Nicolas Cage performances,
Yeah.
I can really see Nick Cage behind
Yeah.
John Travolta.
I guess that's what I'm saying. Is like
But,
Nick
yeah, I don't know about
Cage
Nick
didn't
Cage's-
really feel like John Travolta, aside
Yeah.
from like wiping people's faces with his fingers
but
and
I
shit.
also think that's kind of like John Travolta was just kind of a wet blanket in this movie. Like,
He was, yeah.
not much of
Yeah.
a character, so he didn't
But at
have
the
much
same-
to work off of.
Yeah. At the same time, though, it felt like you were watching two Nick Cages. 'Cause
Pretty
Nick
much,
Cage was
yeah.
just Nick
Yeah.
Cage.
They decided on specific gestures and vocal cadences for each character that could be mimicked, which you do see both of them
Yeah.
doing certain things back and forth over the course of the film. But like we said, I feel like Cage was just Cage for the most part. During the course of the film, Sean Archer and Castor Troy actually only have 4 scenes together, which is kind of crazy. They're long, but there's only 4 scenes. There's the opening, and then the prison when they meet up in the prison. Then there's the
Face-off.
the first face off, and then there's the second face off.
Yeah.
The 9-hour long ending to this film.
Which you could almost count that as multiple scenes, I think, because of multiple set pieces.
Yeah.
But
They're together for a long time at the end. According to producer Barry M. Osborne, most of the challenging action scenes, including the fight on the deck of the boat and the airplane going down the runway, were originally planned as green screen shots, but they filmed them practically to support the realism of the story. Realism of the story.
Hey, 12 years later, somebody's face being taken off and another person's face being put on came true. So,
Most of the stunts in the movie were done without the use of any digital effects, which is kind of an amazing accomplishment because there is a lot of crazy stuff that happens in this movie. A lot of explosions and a lot of gunfights.
It's actually surprising that the budget was only $80 million for the amount of shit they blew up and destroyed and the amount of practical effects they had to use.
I mean, they
That's
used
not
sparklers for most of the
I was going to
scenes.
say, up until the final boat chase, everything was pretty simple.
I mean, yeah, that boat chase had to have been such a hard thing to film.
Yeah.
There were so many like moments where they could have died while filming that thing. I only have about 19 of these to go. Okay.
Oh my God.
I was just kidding. The crew shot on Nicolas Cage's birthday, and John Woo let Cage get emotionally charged up for a scene, then surprised him with a birthday cake.
Oh God.
Afterwards, Cage asked Woo not to do that again. Yes. I could see that. Like, you
Yeah,
get
you
all
try to
like
psych
worked up
yourself
for a
up.
scene, and then happy birthday to you.
Undo all of it.
Hell?
Let's have some cake.
For John Woo's birthday, which was also on set, Nick Cage and Nick Cassavetes gave him a Dirty Harry poster signed by Clint Eastwood himself, who John Woo has called his hero. So this is much
nice.
better. That was a much nicer gift.
John Woo got him a cake. And he got John Woo a signed poster from his hero.
Yeah. And also ruined his mantra, he was getting all psyched up. Sorry, I'm blowing through these because there's like 500 of them. Nicolas Cage doesn't like heights, which I guess is, continues to this day. He said that shooting one action scene was one of the most frightening days of my life. I'm guessing that it was the scene where he's in that skylight that Pollux Troy falls through. Spoilers. And he was like kind of hanging there. I think that's probably what he was
Or-
referring to.
Up on the helipad.
Maybe,
That was an on location.
Yeah, might have been there too. We learn a little bit more about Nick Cage every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, there's the top of the,
There's the one at
building
the,
too.
Yeah, where they leave to go to the prison, and then there's the one at the actual prison.
Yeah.
And he had to be there on both, so maybe it was both of those.
I don't know. For some reason, I feel like hanging precariously from that,
That
you know,
probably too.
that little metal railing over that window. That would have scared the hell out of me. Director Joel Schumacher. Schumacher's another guy who's just like, oh man, we're gonna have to do some Schumacher eventually here, 8mm. Anyways, Joel Schumacher visited Nicolas Cage on set and offered him the role of Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow, in the upcoming sequel to Batman and Robin. But of course, Batman and Robin was a huge turd. They never made another one in that series. But God, that would have been amazing to see Nick Cage as the Scarecrow. Probably not in a Schumacher movie, though.
He would have fit.
He would have fit.
He would have,
100%, but it would have been terrible. Terrible campy. How about that?
Yeah.
The special
it's interesting
edition
that he was planned to be in the sequel of that. That never got made, and then they made Batman Begins, which had the Scarecrow as the main one of the main villains in it. It's interesting.
I'm wondering if, like, you know, that was the idea going forward after Batman and Robin was like, we got Scarecrow and we got to use some of these other IP at some point, and then it ended up turning into the Christopher Nolan trilogy. The special edition DVD contains several deleted scenes, most notably an alternate ending in which Sean Archer looks into a mirror and Eve gasps as she and the audience sees Castor Troy, his face reflected as Archer's reflection. Okay.
All right.
Like she was just looking at him.
Yeah, it's like... I can see why they didn't do that ending.
Yeah. The studio nixed this ambiguous ending in favor of a happy conclusion in which Archer is definitely completely himself again and Castor is dead with no chance of returning unless Paramount Pictures announces in September 2019 plans to remake Face Off.
Face Off.
The remake or a sequel?
Okay, so in September 2019, they were planning to remake Face Off with a brand new cast. But in February 2021, it was reported that Adam Wingard, which I'm not really familiar with his work, would direct, and the film would be a direct sequel to the original. And they've already started writing it. There are plans in the works to make a sequel to Face Off. Of all the films to make a sequel to 25 years later, Face Off.
That's the director of Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah, that's right.
Great.
Yeah,
It's going to be awesome.
it'll be amazing. Pinnacle of filmmaking.
Sean Archer has to replace his face with Godzilla's face.
Face Off was released in June 1997, the same month that Nicolas Cage's other hit, Con Air, came out, which had just come out like 2 weeks earlier. The films were shot consecutively from the summer of 1996 to the spring of 1997, with the two productions nearly overlapping at one point, which is pretty crazy. I feel like Face Off and Con Air might be the two most recognizable mainstream Nicolas Cage movies, besides maybe The Rock. I don't know.
National Treasure.
National Treasure, yeah. But to shoot them back to back like that, that's lightning in a bottle. Mm-hmm. Or stupidity, whichever. And then the final quick fact here, John Travolta and Nicolas Cage were considered to reunite after this movie for The Expendables 2, and that didn't end up happening. And the movie that we talked about not too long ago, because it was directed by the same guy who directed the first Ghost Rider, Killing Season, which Robert De Niro is so amazing in that film that I don't think it would have been as good if it was Nick Cage.
Yeah.
And John Travolta's amazing in that movie too. I don't know, maybe they would have gotten that performance, maybe a Pig or Joe style performance out of Nick Cage, but that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Before we jump into the breakdown, I just want to say there are 82 continuity errors throughout this film, and I didn't feel compelled to really point any of them out. Sometimes I do. Most of the time I don't. I just feel like that's just, we're already researching the fuck out of these things and doing tons of
Are
stuff.
like 75 of those where you can see it's an obvious stunt double and not either of the actors.
Yes. Like when they're on the boat.
Yeah.
Or
we will definitely be talking about many of those scenes.
Every medium to wide shot of an action scene is some obvious stunt double.
Yeah. Hey, that guy's hair is like 4 times longer than Nick's. Okay.
Oh God, just when they fly off the exploding boat, and I literally could not tell which of the two stunt characters was supposed to be which, because they're both just two stunt guys in tuxedos getting thrown through the air.
I love when John Travolta gets hit by the chair, and it's like a guy who doesn't look anything like John Travolta. Like I realize TV quality has changed a lot over the years, but holy shit, man!
I was watching a DVD, so it wasn't like the highest definition on my TV, but it was still glaringly obvious.
I think it would have been glaringly obvious even in the theater. Like,
theater,
like,
maybe on a 30-inch standard def TV, probably not. Watching VHS,
maybe
probably would have noticed it.
Nobody will ever see that.